see that you're here. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's time to get it in gear. Welcome back. Now's the time. The clock is running and we got a lot here to do. Welcome back. We're primed and ready for you. Welcome back.
Welcome back. I'm Mike Goodenough. On this portion of the Monterey Show, we're going to look back into the history of the Central Coast and learn how to prepare local cuisine with Chef John Pisto. Stay with us. I think you'll enjoy.
Welcome back. We're glad to see you again. Welcome back. Well, welcome back. Welcome back.
In 1952, Pebble Beach was the site of a major technological achievement that would change the world forever. The achievement was cable television, which we'll see this time on Looking Back. In 1951, television was unavailable in most of Monterey County. In fact, only 10 television stations were operating in California, 3 of them in San Francisco. But San Francisco is 125 miles away, and even giant home antennas could get only marginal pictures at best. Enter G.W. Henderson, the founder of MPTV Cable. Henderson wanted to bring television to the Central Coast. With no local stations available at the time, he knew San Francisco was his only choice. So he teamed up with Owen Patrick, a pioneer television engineer. It is here that Patrick picks up the story.
Oh, it was extremely young industry. We were the third in the United States and the first one in California. And I had gone to Lansford, Pennsylvania to study the first system there, done by a man by the name of Bob Tarleton. And he was the first one. He was using apartment house television distribution equipment to wire the town of Lansford with. And so I studied what he was doing and brought all that information back, and we began the system here. The most difficult thing that we had to do was to receive the TV channels from San Francisco. The first channel that came on the air was KPIX, and we put up antennas to receive it. We used everything from barrage balloons to kite-tunes to climbing 125-foot trees to putting up huge long wire antennas on top of Huckleberry Hill. And we had considerable success with KPIX. And then Channel 4, KRON, came on the air also.
These were exciting times, and MPTV's first subscriber, Dr. Norman Gayden, remembers his first glimpse of television on the Monterey Peninsula.
Anyway, one time that they put the little shack up there by Huckleberry Hill, we went up there to watch a World Series, and Sam Morris and a big real estate guy from Pebble Beach was up there watching it with us. Bob McGinnis and I were up there, and then we were the only ones. And it was very interesting.
That's all it took to convince Dr. Gayden. He signed up as the fledgling system's first subscriber, and both men remember the occasion well, but for different reasons.
Dr. Gayden was the first customer on the cable system, and he resided about 3 or 4 blocks from what was in the beginning or the head end of our system on Huckleberry Hill. And we ran a cable down to his house, and at that time we were very new in this business, and we decided we might as well also sell TV sets as well as the cable, and so we did. And 6 months or so after Dr. Gayden had connected to the system, we sold him a brand new, beautiful Philco TV set. And I was the one that was going to install it, and I was behind the TV set, and Dr. Gayden was standing in front of it, and I made a connection to it, and erroneously so. And when we turned it on, nothing happened until all of a sudden a loud pop occurred, and suddenly I could no longer see Dr. Gayden through the smoke. I had literally blown his TV set up, and so I had to fix it before we could get him back in television pictures again. I didn't do that again.
Dr. Gayden, though, has a fonder memory.
Our kids were pretty young, 6 or 7 years old, and they used to watch it all the time. I don't even remember some of the early things were Leave It to Beaver, and I think the shows is on and quite early. And this Monterey Peninsula cable it came along pretty slow, but they got good programs.
Still, it was a trying time for technical staff, considering the San Francisco stations were operating under some limitations of their own.
They were all low powered at that time, and they were 125 airline miles away from us. So the pictures weren't too reliable, but you must remember that at that time, no one in Carmel had ever seen television, much less by cable, and they couldn't see it without us. All we did was to put an antenna on a vantage point where we could receive it, put it on cable, take it down to the people in Carmel that couldn't receive it, hence the name Community Antenna System. And so the most difficult chore was keeping the quality of picture as best we could. And there were lots of snowstorms, there were lots of ghosts, there were lots of everything, but people were pretty patient with us. Our first target after that was to get a picture down to the Del Monte Lodge. Sam Morse had seen the pictures on top of his hill, and he was most anxious to get it down there. So we cut roadways and buried cable all the way down to the lodge and put in a large installation in the Indian room of the lodge there. And from that point, we spread throughout Pebble Beach and then finally into Carmel.
The expansion to Carmel garnered MPTV another first, and this time it was worldwide. In an effort to spare the seaside village from further visual pollution, MPTV was the first cable TV company on the planet to run its wiring underground, a development which would eventually become an industry standard. Once MPTV expanded to Monterey, Henderson decided to move the system's main office from Carmel. He had also expanded the company, making MPTV a division of the Alarm Corporation. A new building was constructed just off of Garden Road in the then new Monterey Research and Industrial Park. This new location for MPTV was no fluke. Henderson was an avid amateur pilot, and he wanted an office close to Monterey Peninsula Airport. It wasn't long after this that MPTV made another major expansion, taking over Central California Communications Corporation, or 4Cs, in Salinas. By this time, not only had color come to cable, but new for cable-only services were making the company the home entertainment choice for the entire Central Coast. It's now been more than 40 years since MPTV first made its appearance on the Monterey Peninsula, bringing the area California's first cable TV system. During that time, MPTV has expanded from 1 channel to 41. From Able Cable to Choice Television, MPTV has a remarkable history, as we have discovered by looking back.
$9.95.
What?
$9.95.
Where?